design to the Community Development Committee, and that was back in March of 2015. And we had a lot of discussion about the park. It's a very passive park, seating, benches, picnic tables, a shade structure in the center, sidewalks, and grass and trees, essentially. So we talked about that, council approved the conceptual design, and then talked about the name. And I don't think for any particular reason, but just weren't particularly enthused about the name Celebration Park. So they asked the Parks and Recreation Committee to go back out and use social media and our website to re-solicit some names to be considered for the park and to bring those back. So the Parks and Recreation Commission went through that process again, and then in June they actually had submitted a recommendation to the mayor and I that would have required the city council to make an exception to your park naming policy, which was included in your packet. And they were asking that the council consider that to name the park after council member Susie Gibbs. Her name was one that had come forward as part of that public nomination process, and included in your packet was just sort of their rationale for asking the commission or the council to make that exception. So we held on to that again because Wellstone experienced delays, and we thought we really want to be able to announce a name for this park and announce the dedication and the ribbon cutting for this park and sort of roll it all out at the same time. So we are finally at that point. We are now just waiting on delivery of all of the site furnishings for that, and we, I think, expect to be able to accomplish all of that and open that park up hopefully late October or early November. So it was time to come back and talk about the naming. So the mayor and I first wanted to sit down and visit with Susie, so she wasn't blindsided by a recommendation coming forward, and we did that. And I'm not going to put words in her mouth, but she said she was very honored and very humbled, but immediately said, I haven't done any of these things without the help of other people. So none of this was just me. And I'm really kind of uncomfortable asking the council to consider that recommendation.
You say Gibbs and Friends Park.
Gibbs and Friends Park.
Gibbs and guests.
So in trying to put on kind of some thinking caps, I mean, the Parks Commission had submitted some names that from the list if the council was uncomfortable with that. But in kind of honoring, really I think trying to look all the way back to the idea of the celebration park, the honoring of the contributions that Susie has made through the years. We were in our 65th anniversary year as a city, and so came up with this idea that said, maybe there's a solution in here. What if we were to propose the name Legacy Park, and we were to dedicate that central gathering area as Gibbs Plaza when we cut the ribbon on that park? That conforms with the council's policy, and I think keeps in the spirit of what the Park Commission's recommendation. Mayor and I also met with the chairman of the Park Commission, and we then followed up with all the members of the Park Commission who were in support of the recommendation of Legacy Park. So we wanted to bring that forward for your consideration.
I am fine with considering an exception to our rules to name Gibbs Park. I don't have a problem with that.
I do. I like the idea of what you guys came up with, the compromise on the Legacy Park, and then designating an area there which I think should be named after Susie, but I don't think we should start changing the policies that have been set in place. I like the idea that it
Is there
should
not a
be named after
stipulation
anybody
that someone
that's
needs to be
alive.
deceased?
Yes,
Right.
it says they need to be
That's-
deceased per year is what the policy includes.
You're not going to work, so can I go ahead and
We'd like you to leave.
Would you be more comfortable? Yes?
What's that?
No?
I lied.
No, she's still here.
Would you be more comfortable?
I don't care.
I think it's fine.
No.
You're fine. Any other comments, recommendation?
Do you have to vote on that, or you just say, let's do it?
Well, we'd have to vote, we would vote on it. We would take the recommendation forward to the council, and then we would vote on it at the council meeting.
So right now we
Kind of
have
looking for
opposing
a recommendation to
recommendations,
take
right?
forward.
Yes.
Nothing else was mentioned outside the realm of Legacy Park, then, right?
Well, if you go back to the park commission.
So I know the lots, I know
Yes.
the whole history, but I mean, this recent go-round, there's nothing, okay.
No, so there, other than Mullen Park, Rock Creek Park, Western Trails Park, were there 3 picks, other than Gibbs Park.
I don't mind making an exception for the policy either to go with Gibbs Park.
I'm very comfortable with the policy, as long as Susie has a plaza dedication. There's a component of the park that can be dedicated to them, because she and Jack have done amazing work for the city for many, many years. But that, one of the designations for the person having this, I think we've applied that across the board throughout the entire city through its history. And I mean, if there hadn't been anything, a caveat for a plaza, I may feel differently about it, but I think that's a really nice dedication with a gathering place, and I think that's what Susan kind of represents, is the gathering part.
So do we need a recommendation to do that?
We need a recommendation to forward to the council meeting, the 21st.
To go with the legacy part and then the Gibbs Plaza, is that right?
That was the recommendation that was included in your action item, and that, again, make a different recommendation, but that's the recommendation that was put forward. Anybody want to recommend it?
I recommend it.
Okay, second.
All right. Next, we've got the contract with GBA for miscellaneous drainage projects.
I think that one you want to discuss probably.
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
Okay.
Can I say thank you? I'm very honored, but for those of you that don't know, you will be included this year in everything that we do, so looking forward to your help.
Give some guests.
You'll hear the sound of a lip cracking
Yeah.
when you stand in Gibbs Plaza, right?
Maybe you can have a little statue.
All right, next we have the contract with GBA for miscellaneous drainage projects. Mr. John Belger.
And what's coming around are some photographs of the sites. We thought that would be helpful. And John was at a conference last week, so we didn't include them in the packet. So I'll let him, as he kind of walks through those projects, match them up, although he's labeled them very well on the photographs.
And I think that's what I'll do. Just due to the amount of rainfall that we've seen this year, a lot of heavy rain, it seems like it rains every day. We've had a few stormwater failures citywide. The first set of pictures on the front page is a corrugated metal pipe at 6500 West 51st Street, which is actually underneath a sidewalk. This portion of the sidewalk's on the north side of 51st Street, just west of Lamar. That corrugated piece of metal pipe has failed. We have actually repaired this same piece of pipe about 20 feet downstream. What had happened with this pipe is this pipe was cut on a miter. Instead of having a junction box to make the turn, what they had done is they cut the pipe on an angle, rolled the pipe over, put a band on it. The band didn't compress all the way, so they used pop cans and mastic to fill the void. So about 3 years ago, we repaired that connection. This is about 20 feet upstream. We have video of this particular pipe, and what has happened is the entire bottom of the pipe is gone. So now when it rains, what it does is it starts sucking all the soil and everything around it into the pipe and washing it down the pipe. So what you're left with is a void underneath this sidewalk.
When did this take place?
This one's been about 3 months ago that it's done this. Again, like I said, it's been about 3 years ago. There was a failure in a different spot. If you turn to the second page, it'll be on the back of that page. At the entrance of the Hillsborough Apartments on Foxridge, we got a phone call from the police department on the weekend saying that there was a hole that started forming in their driveway. Again, what had happened is a piece of corrugated metal pipe had failed underneath the driveway approach and started pulling the soil into the pipe. Picture on the bottom shows the void beneath the parking lot or the driveway approach. This particular section we're going to look to just repair for now because this entire run pipe is going to get replaced with the Foxridge project next year. But we need some sort of short-term repair to bridge that gap so we don't have any issues with this driveway approach. If you look at the third page, the top two pictures is a previous repair that we did right up the street. Some of you might remember it in Ron Seiferling's yard. It's along the Woodson side of his property at 5820 West 61st Terrace. The pipe there is actually clay pipe, which was 1940s vintage material. They were 3-foot long clay tees that had each tee plugged with a clay plate, and they were actually laid backwards. So what we had to do is, it was an oddball size of pipe, and we ended up finding a piece of plastic pipe that would connect these where this area had failed in his yard. So we had fixed that once previously. The new failure is about 50 feet to the north of that. The pipe in its entirety has basically started to crumble on itself. There is no real round left of the pipe. It's all broken, top, bottom, sides. It's all caving in. If you flip to the next page, here recently, and it addresses this a little bit in the action item, we had 2 additional failures with that 5-inch rain that we got on August 28th. This big pipe that you see, what happened there is the water was coming so fast that it damaged the bands on each end of this piece of pipe and started to pull the soil into the pipe and washed it out to the point where it floated the section of pipe up out of the ditch and took it down and deposited it downstream in the creek channel, which is the second picture that you see where it looks all crumpled up.
What is that, like a 20-inch pipe or something?
It is 6.5 feet wide by 6.5 feet tall by 9 feet wide.
Holy moly, that pipe right there?
That pipe right there.
Wow.
And it's about 10 feet long. So water does some pretty amazing things. But this failure is one that we've been speaking to GBA about giving us an additional design scope fee for survey and all the same items that we had asked for on the previous ones. And they're working on getting that together, and we're looking at bringing that back to council as a new business item once we have those numbers, because we'd like to get started on these repairs as soon as possible.
And this is all storm drainage, right?
Yes.
So we don't even know how far that corrugated pipe runs.
These particular sections we've looked at. That one in particular is probably about a 300 feet run coming off of Shawnee Mission Parkway behind the houses between 62nd Street and 62nd Terrace, which is the cul-de-sac that comes off of Lamar. That pipe runs through there and then daylights out into an open channel, which runs from where daylights over to Lamar. So, I mean, it's a long stretch. What we've asked GBA to do is give us a scope for a short-term fix,
Right.
and also potential long-term options as far as what can be done there.
Is it possible to sleeve these?
It is. There's a process. It's called cast-in-place pipe. They basically pull a section of fabric down the pipe, blow it up, and then they run steam down and it basically cures out. That's one option they're gonna look at. The other option is replacement. The bad thing is it's kind of six one way, half dozen another. The cast in place process is still expensive, just not as invasive. But it is an option. The picture that you see with the City Hall sinkhole that we had actually right out front, Brent and I actually walked through that pipe the other day and there were no failures. I think what had happened with all the rain that we got is there may be a joint that's leaking or something like that had caused that ground to settle. We've gone in, dug that area out, put flowable fill in, and soil back to the top. It's one area we're going to kind of keep on our radar. But with no real failure to see, we really don't know where to start with that one.
All right.
So we're gonna monitor this one and see how it moves forward.
Well, you can see that pipe has previously been patched with a traffic sign.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had
A
to.
traffic sign?
I had to put that one in there. It's
As
not.
opposed to a pop can, like on 50th
Yeah.
Street.
It's not in that area, but as we walked the pipe, I couldn't help but stop and take a picture of the slow sign that was used to patch pipe penetration. And then the last set of photos is from some previous pipe that we've replaced. Pretty par for the course. With corrugated metal pipe, when it hits the ground, it's got water running through it. There's corrosives in the ground, there's corrosives that run through the pipe. After, it's just a matter of time until the bottom starts going away and you end up with situations like this.
This stuff been in there since what, the 60s probably?
Probably. I mean, typically, they say the lifespan on a corrugated metal pipe is 25 to 30 years, and I would venture to say that a lot of this has been in the ground a lot longer than that. The GBA contract basically gets them on board to survey these areas, make sure that we have all of our easements, come up with a design to repair or replace each one of these, and helps us in the bid process of getting the contractor hired to make these repairs. Some of these repairs we do in-house. At this time, given our staffing levels and things such as that, it's not efficient for us to try to tackle this kind of scope with our in-house staff.
Who has responsibility for stormwater? Is there public, private?
Depends on where the pipe's at
Okay,
and whether or not it's in an easement.
okay. Can you explain that to me? Because I know we've had some on private property,
Correct.
and so if it's on private property,
Mhm.
it is the responsibility of the owner
Correct.
of that property.
And that is
There's been a big debate about that, right?
correct.
Okay. All these are public right away?
We don't know that, and that's why we have got GBA on board to do the surveys, to make sure that there is a stormwater easement with each of these. I can say with confidence the one on 51st Street, the one at Hillsborough, and the one in Ron Seiferling's yard are in right-of-way. There's a little bit of question at the one at Hillsborough because it's kind of teetering right on the edge because some of their infrastructure ties into this pipe. I want to double check and make sure that it is just that it's in right-of-way or in an easement that we have access to. The one behind the houses on 62nd Street, I don't know. And that easement is going to be a big part of that puzzle.
So what's on your agenda, or what's in the packet, would just be the scoping fee, and GBA was selected as one of two on-call engineering firms that the city uses, the other being Olson Associates, to do street, stormwater, that sort of design. We try to split that up. GBA is probably stronger in the stormwater area, so we tend to kind of push. So when we have a project, we go to them and they develop the scope and fee, and then we bring those back, even though they are on-call engineers with us. So this $32,934 would be for the 51st Street, the Foxridge, and the 61st Terrace projects.
I have a question, and please bear with me. Have we ever thought about a consolidation process with other cities in northeast Johnson County who have comparable pipes by age, comparable pipes based on makeup, where we could get economies of scale with the pipe itself, the labor rates across the board, and possibly enter into a contract with George Butler or Black & Beach or whoever we choose, that maybe we could do economies of scale and get lower prices? Because what we do, and nobody can help it because you don't know when the pipes are going to explode or blow up, or we're going to have sinkholes. Every part of this city is eventually going to get to this point, and it just seems like for planning purposes, maybe down 5 years down the road or something, we may come up with just like the county does wastewater, they get economies of scale because they're broad across the board. Is there any way we could think about that maybe down the road?
I think absolutely, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Right now, we're dealing with, we know where they are when they happen. And so part of what we need to do a better job of is inventory and understanding condition and where, being able to sort of anticipate those next hot spots, if you will. I think one of the things also that the SMAC has been talking about as they've revised their business practices is making funds available for maintenance projects, which would be very helpful for those of us up in this part of the county, and could help us probably put together projects just like you're talking about. But I think absolutely, I think that's a direction we need to move.
When George Butler gives you an estimate, they lump sum each task. Are there, I'm assuming there's an hourly rate behind all of this that add in the lump sum that you guys do a reasonableness test of, yes, they're going to say this is going to take 4 hours or 10 hours or 12. You provide your expertise to say, yes, that's reasonable. Is that process going on?
They typically send us a spreadsheet of who they're using, what they're using them for, what their rate is. We've seen it in previous projects, and these seem consistent with all those.
And we did, I mean, in this case, this is a revised proposal from what we saw the first time because of Foxridge. And we went back to them and said, we don't think you need to spend this much time and effort on Foxridge because it's coming up to be part of a larger project. So they backed several $1,000s off of that.
Right.
So we are doing that sort of review and analysis of each task.
And they kind of applied the same scope to each one. And when they did that, we went back and said, hey, you got to make this is getting replaced in a year. Make this last a year, and we'll get it fixed completely when we come through with that project.
Do we have CCTV data?
Yes, we do. We have it on 51st Street. We have it on the one on Foxridge, and we have it on the one up here on 61st Terrace. Ace Pipe Cleaning did the previous two, and then Midwest Drain and Sewer to the one on 51st Street. And then Brent and I basically walked through the other one because it was, I mean, it's big enough that you can venture through.
And we've scheduled at least a drive-by of all of these on the bus tour next week so you can see them in real life. But pictures always help.
How bad's the one on 62nd if you're going to leave for a while until we get some more detail on it? Because you had it roped off.
It's the one in the packet.
I know, I saw that, but.
It's a 10-foot section of pipe that's gone and, 20-foot round hole.
How long will it take? 2 meetings?
I told them that I need the scope and feed by the next council meeting. So you guys can,
The one in October, you're talking about
No,
next
this
May
one.
meeting?
No.
coming
We'd
up
like
as
to-
new business at the September council meeting.
Okay.
yeah, we'd like to accelerate that as fast as we can.
Is it a safety issue like that? I mean, is it
Well, I was
covered
just
or
wondering.
ropes up or something?
It's got snow fence.
It's got safety fence and stakes all around it right now. So, I mean, nobody can get near it. They'd have to try really, really hard to. So,
Any other questions for John? How do we feel? Recommendations?
I'll make a recommendation to take it to council.
I'm
Maybe
sure we'll discuss it.
I'm fine with it on consent.
Consent? All right. Okay, thanks, John. Next, we have the update on Mission Summer Camp and Mission Family Aquatic Center. This is Christine.
Sidewalk replacement at the community center.
you sent me
Can
again.
someone fire me? Contract for sidewalk replacement at Sylvester Township Community Center.
Thank you.
Can this be done yesterday?
I'm trying my hardest.
On it? Yes.
Earlier this year, council authorized Olson to prepare contract documents and that's a construction survey inspection scope for this project. We took it out to bid. Bids were opened on August 31st. 7 responsive bidders, with PennOp Construction being the lowest, most responsible bid. Unfortunately, the lowest bid exceeded the project budget by about $14,600. We reviewed some reduction in scope. After talking through the plans, we really didn't see a lot of opportunity for that. So Christy has been kind enough to defer a few of her items from the community center to make up the difference. We checked references for PennOp on similar projects, City of Riverside, and who else was it? Oh, Unified Government.
Yep.
Both had positive things to say, so we feel pretty comfortable with moving forward with PennOp being the contractor on the project.
PennOp did our Mohawk Trail. We've used them for asphalt work, just not concrete.
Yeah,
Flat screen TV.
step equipment, pool vacuum, and flat panel TVs.
That's what you're putting off?
Yes.
Thank you, Christie. Did we need the sidewalks fixed?
Yes, we do. And especially with our new agreement with the Stroke
Yes.
Foundation and
Yes.
with the church and other things there, we really need to get those fixed sooner rather than later.
There are a lot of things that this project will do, which, given that the community center sees all ages, abilities, ADA is going to be brought up to standard with some future ADA things in mind. Sidewalk connections, just a lot better setup, a lot more user-friendly. The condition of the concrete over at the community center leaves a lot to be desired. It's spalling, it's cracking, it's been heavily used since it's been opened. Moving some ADA stalls around to make them more accessible, it accomplishes a lot of things.
How much did we spend on the bid, or just the initial study on everything, the survey and everything?
The design and everything.
50?
The original contract was 50, but that included construction inspection.
Okay, so about 35%.
It was
of the
30,
cost of the
32, I believe, was the design part. Which with all the ADA, it was really important. Slope designs, sidewalk grade, and the set of plans that Olson produced is very, very detailed with how everything would lay out over there. They did a nice job.
Well, I think it definitely is a project that has to be done. The fact that Christie's willing to make room in the budget by jostling the stuff that she has already been approved for. I think that's super cool, so that we don't have to dip into the regular fund to help cover that. So I recommend that we take it and do it.
I second that, but I think we ought to make it not on the consent vote.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay. When can they start?
As soon as it gets approved.
September 22nd, we can issue a notice.
That's right.
Nice. All right.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Because it'd be nice to have it all nice and done by the Thanksgiving dinner. Will it be done by then?
Close.
Yeah. You know, what we told the contractors too at the pre-bid meeting is, with all the foot traffic that does come in and out of that building, it's gonna have to be a phased, you know, you're not gonna be able to knock out a bunch of doors at once, so, you know, the building remains accessible and all that, so. And typically what happens is we come up with a phasing plan and plans, and they come back and have a really good idea, and that all gets thrown out the window. So I basically told Olson, don't bother with the phasing plans, and we'll all work that out when we get a contractor on board. I hate for you to design
So
something.
then we kind of work around Thanks for Seniors to make sure it's done by then.
We will do
The
our
north-
best.
The north entrance should be done by then.
I might include you on that phasing meeting.
I like that north entrance.
With her statue.
Well,
That's right.
It's horrible when you walk in there. Represents the city of Mission, and it just looks crappy.
No,
Somebody's gonna fall and hurt themselves.
I agree. It's the focal point of the city. A lot of people see it. It needs to be right, and it needs to look good.
Thank you. Well, I'll expect it to be done by then.
I will do my best. I can hear it all already.
Okay, finally we are to Ms. Christie for the update on Mission Summer Camp and Mission Family Aquatic Center.
Okay. Wow, we just closed the pool last night with the pool party for pooches. We had a total of 86 dogs there. So, quite exciting. Just kind of coming off the last agenda item, and before we really dive into this, just want to say, you know, I know I missed a lot of the summer dealing with some health issues, and I really appreciate your support and everything that you've done to give me the time that I needed to make all that possible. But most importantly, there are other people that really filled in the gap for me while I was gone. And Laura was just absolutely tremendous, and appreciate her support. Kathy, above and beyond with everything she did. I think she definitely needs to be recognized. John, like taking on the sidewalk project with the assistance of Glenn and everyone else, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you to everybody. It's good to be back, and I appreciate all the help and support. So with that, we'll dive into Mission Summer Camp, Teen and Tween Camp 2016. In my opinion, it was the best one we've ever had.
Because you weren't in the building. We know that to be true.
That is true. I was not. The Mission Summer Camp Teen and Tween program is a 9-week program that is fully licensed by the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. We take up to, we can have 180 kids. We normally take around 130 in our Mission Summer Camp. That's kids age 5 to 10. When they're 10, they can decide whether they want to stay in the Mission Summer program or if they want to go up to Teen and Tween Camp. And then Teen and Tween, we take those 10 to 15, and we normally take up to 50 in there. That 180 is our magic number, so give or take a couple in one camp or the other, that's the number we normally shoot for. The kids come to camp Monday through Friday, except for the week of 4th of July, and they are there from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Some of them come a little earlier than that, some of them stay a little later than that. And we make accommodations to try try to help the parents as much as we can because we know that they want to get their kids home. Every week we do a field trip, and they do those separately. The Mission Summer Camp do their field trip, the Teen and Tween Camp does their field trip. I might add that the Mission Summer Camp, the younger kids take over the entire north gym. And it's just, if you haven't been there to see it, it's just amazing to see all the tables set up that they eat their snacks at, their lunches at, do their arts and crafts projects at, how they run all of their activities and sports programs. And then the Teen and Tween Camp takes half of the gym on the south side of the building, and they use the multi-purpose room. So we try to get them outside as much as possible, so they do those field trips separately. Some of the field trips they've taken include Worlds of Fun, Skate City, Power Play, Oceans of Fun. They go to different theater groups. They visit some of the other aquatic centers, places like that. But we keep the kids really busy. We try to have a theme for every week and just to kind of build activities around, and it was an idea of some of the themes were creatures of the wild, sports of sorts, heroes of the world, outdoor discovery, teamwork makes the dream work. So we focus each week around a theme. Kids can also register, or parents can register their kids to take swim lessons and tennis lessons, and those take place during summer camp time. This, I think, is our 5th or 6th year to do that. And we've got some real positive feedback because so many parents would say, you know, I try to figure out how to bring my kids to camp all day long and then try to work them into evening swim lessons or evening this lesson or evening that lesson, and said it just made the day so long, so they really appreciate the opportunity to do those. Those are very popular activities for us. We also have some other camps that we run that we allow some discounts for that run during the same time as camp. Challengers, which is a soccer camp, the Legos camp, Young Brands, which is our arts classes, and they get some discounts on that. So you can see the numbers. I'm kind of looking at the last 3 years that we have here. Our average weekly attendance for the combined total of the camps this year was 176. That's the same number that it was last year. And in 2014, our average was 169. And then you can see also how many people or how many kids take advantage of those special lessons that we offer, the swim lessons and tennis lessons. And it appears to be growing almost every year. A little bit of drop off in the tennis program, but seems to be growing. And then on our revenues and expenses, we look at the revenue for the monthly registration fee. You can see the biggest jump there was 2014 to 2015. Two things that kind of increased our revenue there. One of them is not only additional kids in the camp, but we increased the fees for the camp that year also. It went from $109 for the Mission Summer Program per week and $119 for Teen and Tween to $129 and $139 respectively. So
Those aren't supposed to be negative values, are they?
no,
They're a little
those are-
squiggly,
those are-
approximate. These are approximations.
Yeah, those are little approximations. You can see at the bottom, 2016 numbers may not be exact as final revenues and expenses are still being reported. So hopefully on my bigger one up there, you can see it. So.
I had the same thought when I
I
first
heard
looked at it.
Yeah. No.
That's the wrong direction.
So anyway, that is a hugely successful program. Sarah Suter does just a tremendous job with putting that on. We've got great camp directors and staff counselors, and it's fun seeing some of the counselors that we have now were actually kids in the program in the camp when I first started almost 10 years ago. So to see those kids go from ones that were in the camp to actually working for you now, it's a lot of fun. The next thing that we'll talk about is the Mission Family Aquatic Center and our operation of that. Our dates of operation this year were Saturday, May 28th through Monday, September 5th. Those are our days or hours of operation are Monday through Sunday or Sunday through Saturday, whichever way you say it, noon to 8 p.m. And those were the new hours that we took on when we opened the new aquatic center. We did start on August 15th. We went to what we call our school hours, And that because the kids go back in school, we don't have lifeguards, and there's really not as big of a reason to open to the public. And we go to school hours, which are just Fridays from 4 to 8, Saturdays noon to 8, and Sundays from noon to 6. We'll talk a little bit about the different memberships that we sold and what those numbers look like, and the Super Pool Pass program. But to just let you know, this kiddie pool playtime is something we've done forever. That's on Saturday mornings and Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 9:30 to 11:30. And it used to be at the old facility where they just went into kind of the waiting pool area. And I think we initially thought coming into the new facility that we would do that just in the spray pad area. So I think the first day we opened up just, the first year of operation, we opened up just the spray pad. And we like had a mob on our hands. It's like, let us into the leisure pool. And so, we immediately had to open the leisure pool and made some other adjustments with when we have some daycares in the building or in the facility and stuff like that so that we could accommodate the kiddie pool playtime so that they could use not just the spray pad but the leisure pool also. And then we have, of course, the ever-popular tannin float on Saturdays from 10 to 11:45, and then we would accommodate daycares on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday mornings. So we have different daycares that come in regularly to see us. This year, we again, for the third year in a row, hosted the MoCan League Championship Swim Meet. It was supposed to be Leewood's turn to do it this year and next year, but Leewood dropped out of our league and joined City League. So we are, whether you look at fortunately or unfortunately, we are the only pool that can accommodate the league meet now. So the dates next year, I believe, are July 13th and 15th. So just saying.
I got the signs already together.
Okay, good. So that's something we really do enjoy. It brings a lot of people into our community and hopefully promotes usage of the facility, and people will want to come back and bring their family here when they see everything that we have to offer. Other special dates that we did program for this summer at the Aquatic Center, we did a Father's Day free swim. So if a dad came with his family, he had free admission to the facility. Of course, 4th of July was free for anybody who wanted to come. Then we did Free Family Fridays. That was once a month. And those days, it was free admission to the facility after 5 p.m. And those were all well attended.
How many over 100 kids did you have this year?
Over
Weren't
100 years old?
Yeah. Weren't those free, 100 kids?
And if it was over 100, it was free also.
How many did
I'll have to get back with you on that, Susie.
I don't think we actually, temperature-wise, heat index-wise, we were over,
Yeah.
but I bet we didn't have 2. I don't know, but
Okay.
we didn't have very many this year. Hovered right around that 98.
Yeah. So you can see our memberships, they are broken into type, whether it's a resident, and the resident and non-resident include both individual and family memberships, and then we have our Super Pool Passes. So you can see that this year, that 470 is the highest we have probably been the entire time that I've been here, because of course our numbers are much larger now that we've opened the new Aquatic Center versus the pool that we had previously. So you can see how those numbers continue to grow. Then we look at our attendance numbers. I kind of broke those down for you. You can see a couple interesting things here that kind of pop at you. Our attendance is up, and again, our attendance numbers and everything for the Aquatic Center are through August 31st. So we still have the last weekend that we had to look at, and that comes into play, specifically for like concessions, because I know one day we had over a $600 deposit in concessions. So those numbers are going to go up when the year-end totals come in. But looking back at 2014, that was our first year of operation in the new center. And I think we were very pleased with that 16,700 number in attendance. But what we have to remember to keep in mind there is that it was fairly cold that year and somewhat rainy. Then you look at next year and our numbers dropped all the way down to almost 13,000. Last year, if you remember, it really was cold and rainy. It seemed like we were closed more than we were open. And then this year we had a big boom back up to our biggest numbers in years, the 17,354. And it's exciting to see those numbers from the Super Pool Pass because you think that, oh gee, our numbers, everybody on the super pool pass came to our pool this year. Well, I think because of the temperature, the heat and everything, that they went to the other pools just as much as they came to our pool. So it will be fun to see how those numbers play out once those all get turned in. But we were obviously very busy at the aquatic center this year. So, and then just a quick look at some revenues. And again, these revenues are these, I can't remember, Kathy, are these revenues through?
July, it says.
Yeah.
Yes,
The expenses are through July, but I think the revenues are through
I think
August.
through August 31st.
Yeah, I think August 31st, so. Again, it's as it correlates to the number of visits we had to the pool, of course, our numbers go up as well. Our highest revenue year to date at the new facility. One number that we don't have in there is rentals or after our pool parties and birthday party packages during the day. In 2015, we generated $2,219 on those birthday party packages and after our pool parties. This year, right as of now, we're setting at $4,456. So I know Natalie has done a great job of promoting those birthday party packages and kind of pushing people outside instead of in the community center. So she's doing a great job on it. And then our expenses, again, these figures are through July 31st. But remember, I think we've got a lot of room to work with there because in August, we really were only open about half of the month because we went back to those school hours. So I think we're in good shape there. I'll be interested to see the final numbers. So anyway, like I mentioned, we did wrap up last night with pool party capuchins. Had a wonderful turnout for that. And I think the pools, if they are not empty, they are very close to empty. I didn't look at them today when I came over, but we have started draining the competition pool following Monday evening, just to kind of discourage the dogs from wanting to get in there. And then we started draining last night after the dogs.
Any big unforeseen problems that popped up this year at your outdoor pool?
We had the pump on a leisure pool that seized up, and we had to get that repaired and rebuilt. But that is the only big one.
Didn't they have to drain one of the main pools like a couple weeks after it opened?
Yeah, the very beginning of the season,
Sort of
we had done some
repaint.
painting, we needed to repaint and put some silica sand in there, so.
Is there any way to check for that before we fill it up first next year? or-
Yes, yeah,
Was that a warrantable repair on that pump?
no,
Really?
unfortunately it was not.
Brand new?
Well, it's 3 years
Yeah.
old.
Oh,
I
Feels
do,
spring.
yeah.
yeah, it does.
Yeah, I do know that next year, as we look at our CIP, that we are budgeted to and planning to add the second slide for next year. So that will be that new attraction, hopefully generate additional interest in the pool and get people to come back. So that will be fun.
I was up there several times this summer. It was great. Had a good time. My grandkids love it.
Good.
Shot some video.
Good.
Everybody was good. And the staff very helpful.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, we had a little problem was somebody had the covers up on the grandmother. Well, we took care of it. First class.
Yeah. The spray pad is still open, and of course that will stay open as long as the weather allows it to, or until we get the pool closed, the winterization of the pipes and everything. So we'll have the company come out one time to do that. So when that fits their schedule, we'll have them close everything, so we don't have them come back to close the spray pad later. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Kristen. Next, we've got the development updates from Chris Smith.
So we had a request to just kind of add a standing item to the Community Development Committee agenda and just sort of be able to review with you all kind of what we're seeing building permit-wise, development-wise. So we'll kind of go through quickly. Some of these we've told you about in city administrator's reports and other places, but Smoothie King, working on a tenant finish and came and got their business license. They're going in on the east end of the old Blockbuster building. So they anticipate opening mid-October. 2 building permits for tenant finishes at Mission Mart Shopping Center, one for Casey Wellness and then Ovations Dance Studio. The bar hopes to have their expansion complete and open by this Saturday, which John and I had lunch there today, and I think is fairly aggressive, but
I don't
good for
see
them.
it there.
I don't see that happening, but
Props to
definitely,
them if they get there.
yes, definitely they hope to be open by the following Saturday for the barbecue contest. The 5606 Johnson Drive, which is the former gunsmithing only location, has a permit for tenant finish for a board game store.
How many square feet is that, do you know?
Not very many,
I know.
probably 13, I don't know, maybe 13 or 1500. 5929 Broadmoor, which is the former Don's Liquor, is working on a tenant finish for a dental office at that location. 5809 Johnson Drive, which is next to Red Wing Shoes on the west side, has applied for a building permit for a tenant finish. We have no idea who they're finishing it for. So I don't know whether they actually have a tenant or they're just getting it ready for somebody. So when we know that, we'll be happy to share that. And then Grand Liquor is moving out of Mission Mart Shopping Center across the street to the former all-weather window and door. So they're in the process of renovating and remodeling.
And I heard today that the gunsmith is going to be the surplus store, but it's not.
Board game store.
They said it was surplus, so. Yeah.
Surplus board games.
Surplus.
Surplus chess game.
Surplus chess game.
Laura, is there any update on the bowling alley?
I haven't heard anything more other than, yeah. Last I heard, I think November maybe they were going. They had a court date.
And we did, thank you, got signage on that.
Yes, convenience station, I guess, or
Yes.
yes.
Hey, speaking of signs,
Quick soon.
are you still updated? Put it in.
Nope, I'm done.
The little signs out there on Johnson Drive that we had talked about, have we approached people about that now? And talked to them? It just seemed to me it was getting better.
We have not, so we will be, I think our plan is to get kind of those public meetings where, I don't know how far through the sign inventory rewrites.
About halfway through.
Most of the way through.
One and a half, we'll be meeting sometime in the latter part of this month.
To kind of take those changes that you all talked about, take them through a public meeting process, then they will go, our plan is to take them then to the planning commission for approval in October, and then they would come forward to you in November.
Any update on when Planet Fitness will open?
Haven't heard.
We got a big flyer from you guys.
Well, I noticed this week or last week they opened up kind of on that south end, they've opened up a membership, right, temporary membership drive office, so.
Put one up there, good, and all that too.
So I got one question for Christie. They
They
got Planet Workout. Is it Planet Workout? What's the name of it?
Planet
Fitness. They're going to be in competition with you, with the Power Center and all that, will they not?
Yes, they will.
So we thought about, so maybe in the future, discussing that. I mean, we need to keep that attendance high. And, our fees are going to be a little bit different, as cheap as it can be. What is it?
It's about $10 a month.
$10 a month.
Yeah. We will, once they get open, we definitely will be monitoring our memberships closely to see what happens to those. I think they offer a completely different type of environment than what we have. I can remember my first day of work when Laura said, is it a community center or is it a fitness center? We're trying to figure out what that is. And, we are a community center and they are a fitness center. And I think, yeah, we might lose some people that are more members of our facility that are just there to bulk up, and that might be more convenient to them. But at the same time, I think You know, we've got Lifetime Fitness close, we've got Matt Ross close, we've got other fitness
Lots of
facilities.
workout places.
And they aren't going to those facilities, so I don't know why they would be enticed to go to Planet Fitness. So I think our clientele is probably pretty strong, and I'm not anticipating huge reduction in membership.
This Planet Fitness putting in a huge indoor pool.
Laura, do we have any idea, you know, the group that does the flowers and everything at Barkley and Markway, do we have any idea, do they have any anticipation of doing anything during the winter? Remember the,
Oh, yes, Cobb Alley.
because that is such a great thing to look at when you come around the corner and everything, all the flowers and everything. Just wondered if they have any plans for it during the winter.
I don't think so. They've not approached us for pumpkins or mums or, anybody, but we can certainly ask. I think Ira's still.
Who owns it? It's not blocked.
I don't think it's blocked. I don't remember who owns that piece.
The shelter.
But I'll find it.
No, I don't care.
It used to be where that
No
backyard
worries.
burgers,
Right.
it used to be a million years ago.
You could do Christmas trees in Poinsett.
Yeah, that's right.
There were a few people living in there last winter for about a month.
In where?
In the shelter.
Really?
Are you kidding me? And
I was there for 2 weeks.
Pat Quinn and all those buddies.
Gibbs and guests.
And the only last thing I would have is we do have our CIP bus tour next Wednesday evening. We've got several items, streets, stormwater, parks related, just to kind of get out and about. It's always good, I think, to take a look at those. The mayor menu's made it all the way around. We'll have food available. We're going to start here in Anderson Park. We'll have food available about 5. Is it feasible to think we could start at 5:30, or do we need to push it to 5:45? I know,
Pretty
it's,
tight.
okay,
But-
It's starting to get dark earlier.
yeah, it is like it's 7 o'clock.
yeah, so we've got a lot. So let's, we're gonna start in the park with kind of some playground structure and some shelters and things like that. So we'll start maybe 5:30, 5:40, and we won't take off until we get.
This doesn't have anything to do with the city really. You know, Mr. Morris, our Mission Marlin swim coach, teaches algebra too up at North. And just as a project, he gave all of his class the dimensions of the gateway and asked them to fill in shops that they thought would fit in there and what they could make and how much money they would make if they put so many shops in the gateway. So that was quite an interesting project.
What ages were these kids?
Junior.
Cool.
Where'd they get their revenue per square foot figures?
I don't know. Kelsey had come home and she was working on this and she said, "Do you want to help me?" I said, "No." But they gave them the dimensions. They gave them the actual dimensions down there. And then they gave
That's
all,
impressive, I love
they
it.
gave them different dimensions of stores and restaurants and so forth and what to make of those things. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the gateway made it to Shawnee Mission North Algebra 2 class.
That's coming up.
I'm guessing we haven't heard anything more about the gateway?
Not for a word. They would have the 30-day window for their appeal. So coming up on that in a couple of weeks.
All right, if we don't have anything else, wrap that.
Yes, folks, don't they?
Moving right on up.
All right,
We're taking a 2-minute break or?
2-minute break,
She's got something.
minute 45 left.
I'll suck up
I'm gonna
that 2
have
minutes
that
then.
statue go after you.
I emailed you guys previously about this as an event that Chick-fil-A is putting on tomorrow night. It's a kids club. This went out to 800 of our elementary school kids, both grade schools. The parking lot is not overly big, but there will be a police car, fire truck, bicycle, motorcycle, that kind of stuff all up there for the kids to climb around on. And apparently the police are gonna go against the firefighters in a lemonade squeezing contest tomorrow night. So I'm bringing out some of the beefy guys to see if we can win that one. So, but if you guys would like to, more than welcome to stop by tomorrow night.
You guys take the wrecked motorcycle up there?
No, actually, I think that's probably about to get declared, and then the insurance company's gonna cut us a check, and they will try to get it. It's easier than fixing it for, we ride it for maybe 2 weeks, and then we turn around and sell it. It's not worth it taking your time. It's pretty bad. I think the last time we sold a bike, we got it was from 1,800, maybe $2 grand for it. I think the insurance company gave us $7,000 for this bike. So I'd say we came out ahead. We ended up selling to one of the dealerships that we were actually buying from. So it's kind of a trade. Yeah, so it's bags and tags. Yeah, we'll keep ours with little fairings. We didn't even. Just do the cane.
Please, right.
And they won't change your spit on us. It's too
And I'm passing around, this is, and I can't figure out the formatting, so I Battle of the Brisket is coming up. And so these are just detailed times, food, music, pancakes, touch a truck. We were pleased to bring some new sponsors on board, so I was going to get some new people involved, Natural Grocer and the Peanut, Tip Seeds, Springboard Creative, yeah, so it's good. So come out and join us on the 16th and 17th.
Next time, I'll look
Absolutely. Count on you to get that done at 45 and do it.
All right, let's start the Finance and Administration Committee. First item on the agenda is resolution designating surplus property. Mr. Scott.
All right, you all kind of know the drill. We have been doing some cleaning this summer. So we put together quite a bit of list here of items that we'd like to declare as surplus. A fair number of these items are related to police vehicles. You all approved the lease purchase for new police vehicles a couple months ago. Those are in order. So we're getting ready to sell the ones that we'll be replacing. We'll sell obviously the new ones and they're ready to go, but we're going to get those declared. And then all the equipment that goes with those.
You can do trade-ins?
Not a lease purchase, not a police vehicle. We usually wind up selling them to kind of outstate departments that need a police vehicle that can't buy a new one. And then, we also are declaring too the Harley Davidson that was wrecked in an accident on I-35 probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We are actually selling it to our insurance company. So we took an insurance claim, they declared it as a loss, they're giving us $7,000 for it, which is a pretty good deal. So we're going to take the money and run. So I think they stripped it today, and as soon as we declare it next week, 2 weeks from now, we'll call them up and tell them to get it. And there's just another bunch of other items, mainly from the community center, and then a bunch of computers that have been replaced over the community center. So we're starting a program rotating out older computers, replacing new ones. So this is a list of older computers that are being replaced. Any
What
questions?
about the brassy easels?
They're still there.
Are you getting rid of them?
No.
I thought there was a couple of brass easels.
Are there brass easels?
Yeah, the brass easels on here.
Yes, we're getting rid of them.
Why? We're not gonna have any more art shows like
Oh,
this.
we have
Have you got dogs?
We've got easels out here. Yeah, we've got plenty, we have plenty of easels.
Can we bid on them?
No.
Not really, no.
I know, I'm asking. I didn't read what they wrote. Okay.
So is there an estimated value of all this property? I mean, I see a list, but you've got five vehicles, so do we ever do an estimated value of the property that we are surplusing when compared to what we get?
The thoughts crossed my mind, like I said, the motorcycle will probably get about $7,000 for. Typically for the vehicles, you probably get $7,000 or so at auction. It's kind of hard to put an estimate on brass easels.
Right.
Tables,
Some of the
things like that,
some of the
folding
small
chairs,
stuff, I'm
yeah.
talking about the big dollar.
Yeah.
You're talking about $40,000 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
When we get to those kind of numbers, I guess I'd like to see, I mean, not for the small stuff, I don't want to count small stuff, but
I want brass easels.
We give an approximate value, into the future.
How do you know where to
The actual
start?
value is just whatever the market's.
Well, the vehicles, we can just look at what we sold them for in the
Does at
past.
auction,
Google it,
Or what?
2012 Chevrolet Tahoe, police package, how much those go for?
Do you know how many miles are on each of those?
About 100,000.
And they go for $7,000 for 2012? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Why would they lie?
See how much a new one costs?
Yeah,
No, I think 7,000 is cheap for a 2012. I think for 100,
it's a lot of miles.
Police one, I don't know.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to buy old police cars because of it's 24/7. And we do have to be careful unless we strip out all the lights and all the equipment. We have to be careful on who we sell those to. And like Brian had said, sometimes it's police department out in the middle of Kansas. I've seen fully decked out Tahoes that are 4 years old going for about $10,000 with all the equipment in it. So, yeah, they're just, honestly, they're rode really hard. And it's highway and city miles, and they get serviced once a month. But when you climb in those cars, we have to reinforce the seats. That's the first thing we do, because the seats tear and there's fluff flying around in the car. And it's, honestly, when you drive a car for 4 years straight, it's not clean on the inside, no matter what you do to it. And they are really beat up, so.
There's a lot of ghost miles on them too, because they sit and run.
Okay. Recommendation?
I recommend we take
There you go.
council. I second that.
Consent?
Consent, fine.
All right. The next item is adoption of some standard traffic ordinance and uniform public offense code.
So, last year, this went about 25 seconds. So every year we come before you guys and the state adopts brand new standard traffic ordinances by the state, which is your speeding, your stop signs, and all the other traffic laws that are in here. Uniform Public Offense Code is what we charge people with crimes, theft, and things like that. There are changes that are listed in the back of both of these books.
After reading them both cover to cover, I suggest we take that.
What's on page 56?
Memorize it.
But this is the Uniform Public Offense Code, and those are the changes that were made from last year to this year. So there's not a lot of changes. One of it is the e-cigarettes. Another one is motor boats and speed boats, which obviously we don't have a lot of here in Mission on lakes. But those are what the changes are. And then what Captain Malloy and Sergeant Self do is we have city ordinances that will trump some of the Uniform Public Offense Code, and they go through with the stickers and they update these books once you all pass them in 2 weeks. So, but that's the list of changes in the Public Offense Code. But we have to bring these before you, and these all are adopted as of July 1st, but we don't get the books until August once the state gets done printing them, which is why you guys always see them in September usually.
What's the category listed for cell phone use while you're driving? Is there a category for that?
There's not. It's not illegal to talk on your cell phone in the state of Kansas. Cities can pass an ordinance. You could declare it as inattentive driving. The hard thing, there's another part about texting while driving. The problem is if Pat's driving down the road, how do I know if Pat's texting or emailing or making a phone call?
Playing Pokemon.
Yeah, he's going to be there next week. So
Good, you're trying.
that's the hard
A lot of
thing.
people are trying.
So, but there's a lot of things like inattentive driving, and that's up for debate. I've seen people shave, put makeup on, eat, text, talk,
At the same time.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah. You see all kinds of things as you're driving down the street.
I'm a great shaver.
Over and over the steering wheel.
Don't tell me.
Might as well, you can lose it like 35
But that's what this
What's
is.
the other option? Not to approve this, I say take it to council.
Is there a second to the recommendation?
Yes, I second.
Consent?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna get the second on that.
Debbie, I put Debbie's
On
name.
Marcel. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, very quickly. He's not feeling well this evening, but he's here. This will be Glenn's last meeting with us.
What?
Friday is his last
Oh,
day.
man.
And so if I have not sent the invitation out yet, then I will send it out tomorrow as a reminder. But if you want to stop by on Friday at about 2, we're going to do some cake. Can't make it at 2, come to the bar at the end of the day. Well,
2:30.
He'll get well for that.
I'm going to make him wait till at least 3:30. But he's been a great asset and has done a lot for us in his time.
I hate to see you go, man.
Where are you going?
See you go.
Going back to
Best
California?
of luck wherever
Going
you're
back to
headed to.
Appreciate that.
And your turnout for being here tonight, if you're not feeling well, thank you.
Glad to be here.
You got a job?
No.
So what time, Brian?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
I'll send you an email.
Get right along as I.
Cake at 2, drinks at 2:30.
Never tried. Tried a scooter, laid down in the first couple of minutes. So,
Yeah, you
I doubled.
Drinks at the bar?
I don't think it was a two-wheeler, do you
And do you need to know if I'm coming on Monday to Horizons?
No.
I'll be there.
Nope, just, I said maybe once today about Horizons.
That's me.
Horizons.
All right, that's it. See you soon.
Oh, we have the other? Darn it.
All right, good job. I like your quick one.
Stick my back up.
Once I say that, I don't-
Thank you.
Better leave that one.
Yeah.